All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Average Joe's Who Know podcast. I'm Connor,
I'm Matt.
and we're going to be covering. You got any shout outs, Matt, before we
No,
start?
not this week.
Not this week. Not this week. I'll give a shout out. Tays Valley. Tays Valley, probably best season ever in school history. And, they had a tough matchup against Washington. They scored 14 points.
For 14 points. Brady had a touchdown pass, and then Teets stripped the ball and ran. Really just stripped the ball straight from the running back and just ran. It was kind of cool. We just, couldn't cover a punt or kickoff. That didn't help. But Maslin was really, 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 really good. So they won their little. They won some little battles. They got them jump off sides like 8 times. Brady might have the greatest hard count of all time, or the most undisciplined team of all time. I don't know.
Yeah, but there's our shout out. Since they made it that far, probably the best season Tays Valley history. So we'll shout out for the last week of their season. So, all right, let's get into college football. Let's start with BYU's loss to Kansas.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I watched some highlights. I did fall asleep when it was like 7-0, but I told you already said I hate the Big 12 like 10 times. Kansas has put up some fights. I mean, they're not great, but I think you talked about last week. Their quarterback's pretty good. I mean, their quarterback's good. He's been good for the last 2 or 3 years. He's had some injury problems, but Kansas has been a solid team since they got Leopold as coach, and they pulled it off. BYU, they had that crazy QB pooch punt at the end of the game. They got it, and it's pretty much sealed the deal for Kansas, but that just make the Big 12 even that much more open.
Yeah. BYU's biggest problem is they've been playing close games all year, and you can only win so many before you stumble and fall, just like we saw happen to Miami, and it happened to BYU. And there was a lot of speculation that this Kansas team with Daniels back, he was hurt, and that's part of the reason why their record's not as good as they really are. And so there was a lot of speculation. I think Kirk Herbstreit picked Kansas to win. And there was a lot of speculation like, hey, this Kansas team could beat BYU, and then they did. I think the biggest thing for BYU was they couldn't stop the athleticism of the quarterback, and I think that's going to cause a lot of problems for them in the future, especially if they go to the Big 12 championship and play against a team like Colorado. That's going to put them in even this week against Arizona State. That's
BYU's a good football team. They're just not super athletic. They're not super fast, and it's kind of proven on Saturday. Now that proves a challenge for Colorado. Kansas is playing hot. Colorado is also super hot, but I don't want to say Kansas is a tough environment to play in because it's not. But can they play upset again? Can they play spoiler again? Can they cause even more drama in the Big 12? Because Arizona State, BYU is up there. Colorado's right there. Then you got Arizona State. Kansas State still have 2 losses. Iowa State, I mean, hell, 3 lost teams probably still have a shot. West Virginia, Baylor, those teams. I mean, there's only 2 games left, so it's not that much up for grabs. But there's probably 5 teams right now vying for a Big 12 championship spot. And sadly, one of them is going to win and go to the playoff. They're all not very good. But Boise right now, I'd say Boise State, they don't deserve a 4 seed, but they deserve a 4 seed more than a Big 12 team.
Well, the whole conference championship thing is not, looking at it now, was not a good idea, just because I don't think we're not going to get the 12 best teams in the playoff. We're not going to.
No. And did it make sense to start? Yes. It sounded like that sounded right. But this year, I think with these super conferences that we have been made, like if the Pac-12 was still around, it'd be a whole different conversation right now, probably. Because then the 4 teams would come from the ACC, the Big 10, the Pac-12, and the SEC. And now you got no Pac-12. because that would take because Oregon would take that spot, and Ohio State would be in the other spot. But now you have Boise State or BYU or Colorado taking a bye. Meanwhile, you have Georgia still vying for a playoff spot, even though, yes, they have 2 losses. They have the hardest schedule in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not really close. It's tough. I don't want to say Georgia's better than Indiana, even though deep down I still think it, just because it's Indiana. But Indiana's played a weak schedule, but they've dominated. They have dominated. They've looked really good. So I can't fully say Indiana's not good. We'll see. I mean, we'll see this weekend. Clearly,
We'll see this weekend for sure. All right, talk Tennessee at Georgia. Tennessee's offense was non-existent in the second half. Like they went up 10-0. I was like, oh man,
yeah,
this could be a beat down of Georgia, and we're gonna be like, oh, Georgia's not for real. And then they just forgot how to play offense. And then, the biggest thing for Georgia was they kept Carson Beck on his feet the whole game, and that was clean pocket, no pressure.
He used his feet a lot more.
Yeah,
he ran all over the place.
But the pocket was when he made good throws, the pocket was clean. That's always been like his thing. But my thing is, if you play a team, it's just so like, you're not going to have a clean pocket every single game.
Yeah, but Tennessee's defensive line is really good. So for Georgia's offensive line to physically dominate the way they did, I mean, it was quite impressive. And that's why, I mean, there's no way, I don't think Georgia, I think, should be a lock. Let's lose like Georgia Tech League 12. But
yeah,
you can't tell me you can put a 1-loss. Whoever loses the AC's championship game, I don't think they would, or whoever. It's hard for me to say you can put a 1-loss Penn State over a 2-loss Georgia or 3-loss Georgia. Sorry, Penn State, but you haven't impressed me at all in anything.
Yeah, that's very true.
Tennessee, I'm still questioning. I mean, I thought I knew Tennessee. I thought Tennessee beat Alabama. I'm like, Tennessee's okay. Tennessee's legit. But lost to Arkansas. They didn't look good. They looked good against Georgia start. And then once Kirby made his second half adjustments, they looked lost.
Yeah, they didn't adjust at all to what Kirby did. And it was just, I don't know, it was hard to watch the second half. I mean, their offense was just terrible, non-existent, like I said.
But that's why Georgia's Georgia. They make those adjustments.
Yeah. LSU. So you got Brian Kelly yelling at a player, and then you got Brian Kelly get yelled at by a player, and then every LSU fan in the world is having a hissy fit on Twitter. And, Brian Kelly is a great recruiter. He's brought in some big guys, and he's got the Underwood kid is committed there, I think, and looks like he's pretty committed to go there. But he's obviously not a great coach. They should have beat that Florida team. That Florida team.
Yeah, they had Lagway back, but Florida's still Florida. Man, they haven't been good this year. It's been inconsistent. I mean, they competed against Georgia with Lagway until he got hurt. I mean, Lagway's the future. I think Lagway's going to be great someday. But, I mean, they just got flat embarrassed on Saturday. I mean, I know it was somewhat close for a little bit, but Florida dominated that football game. LSU, Nussmeier get hurt. He got hurt, didn't he? Like a little bit. He
looked terrible, though, I think.
But yeah, he didn't play well. He has not really played well of recent. LSU's looked bad. Brian Kelly, it seems like he's completely lost. I don't know if he's lost the locker room, even though kind of like on the sideline, but he's definitely lost the fan base.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought Brian Kelly was going to be great there, but now I don't think he's going to make it past week. I don't know if he's going to make it throughout the season.
Well, that was the thing. Like, him at Notre Dame was like, oh, he can't recruit the guys that he wants because it's so hard to get into Notre Dame.
Well,
you're at LSU now. You can recruit whoever the hell you want. You can get whoever you want. And they've got the money to get whoever they want. And he's gone out and got guys that he wanted. And they just haven't lived up to any of their expectations ever.
I don't know. I think They have that quarterback coming in. I think if he can, I think they'll let him stay with him because they don't want to. I don't think they want to risk firing a coach. One, they have to pay that buyout money is insane, which LSU, so who cares? But the buyout money is insane, and they don't think they want to risk having that kid decommit because LSU hasn't had a good quarterback. Oh, sorry, LSU had Jay Daniels. They haven't had a good team around their quarterback since Burrow left.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I think it's a coaching problem.
I mean,
It's not a recruits problem. They get big 4-star, 5-star recruits. They're just obviously not being. Marvin Harrison Jr. was a 4-star recruit, and he had the best wide receiver coach in the country, and that's why he turned into what he was. And there's a lot of talk about LSU's wide receiver U.
They have legit receivers too. They're just not. I don't know if it's Nussmeier. I don't know if it's the receivers. I don't know if it's the scheme. I don't know. But LSU is not winning football games like they should. Last year, they had the Heisman winner last year. Jane Daniels was unbelievable last year. Went 9-3 again. Like they're since Burrow, they haven't been. Wow, that's a good football team. They're just they're gonna be top 10 to start the year, and they'll probably fall to 17. That's who they are.
Now they're not even ranked.
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't be. Yeah.
No.
I mean, Alabama's awful.
Missouri should not be ranked. I mean, what are we doing? Are you shitting me?
They're not good anyways, and they lost South Carolina. I get they lose by 2, something like that.
It was close.
They're still ranked, really? But like you go back to 24 and 25, and you're like, do these teams really deserve to be ahead of Missouri? I mean, Illinois, no. Whoever at 24, Tulane, no.
Yeah.
It's like we only have like 22 legit teams in college football this year. I mean, Illinois is not very good.
No.
They beat Purdue by 1 in overtime. Purdue's one of the worst teams I've ever seen. Purdue having back-to-back national televised games still blows my mind. They have 1 win this year.
Crazy.
And they've been on back-to-back national television.
Big Ten, man.
Big Ten. The Big contract. Do you see Ohio State's new AD? They're going to have he said they're going to have conversations this offseason about the noon kickoff times.
Yeah, Ross, yeah.
And they want to improve in-stadium experiences.
Now, we can talk about the stadium and the playing surface when we talk about the preview and when we talk about the injury of.
We can talk about this experience. We can talk about it being next week's show. We'll talk about the experience.
We can talk about that too, yeah. All right, we'll get to my playoff prediction, my top 12. Like what I think is going to happen. This is like what I think.
Yeah, this is what we think the final 12 is going to be.
Yes. I think Ohio State comes back, wins the Big Ten, number 1. The SEC is such a. I don't really know who's going to win the SEC because there's so many teams that can still get into the championship, and I just went with Texas because I think they have the capability of winning it, and I don't know, it's just that crazy. But then I think this is where it gets tough. These top 4 with the ACC and the Big 12 because they're going to get in, but it's a matter of how far forward.
Ranked behind Boise, is Boise going to be the 4? Is the other team going to be the 12? Like,
it's crazy. So what I've got is Colorado at 3, SMU at 4, beating Miami, and then Boise State would end up being 12 or wherever they end up ranked. And then I've got Colorado 3, SMU 4, Oregon 5, Notre Dame at 6 because it looks like if they win out, that's where they're going to be. Penn State, Indiana. That's if Indiana loses close at Ohio State. Has to be a close game.
I think they will. I do.
I think they should be in no matter what. Just the way they've played all season. I mean, unless they get beat by like 35. But
if you look at these other, like we talked about, I think Michigan, Georgia, like the last few years, their strength of schedule has been right around where Indiana's is, and they're winning by the same margin. So it's like Okay, so it's not like if Indiana was winning by 3 every game, it'd be a different story. But they're blowing. They beat the hell out of Nebraska, who beat the hell out of Colorado and competed with Ohio State. So
The biggest problem with the ranking show has been it's on ESPN, and ESPN's all SEC now, and so
yeah,
they're just sucking the soul out of the entire SEC conference, And I just hope, man, I hope these SEC teams play an away playoff game at a Big Ten atmosphere in the cold, and they just get freaking slobber knocked. I mean, just get punched in the mouth and lose. I hope every single one of them lose because I'm tired of hearing all these guys bitch about the SEC. You got two lost teams. Penn State's got one loss. I mean, you got me fired up, man. I'm on. I need to wash my mouth because the only people that watch this are my family, but I'm freaking fired up. It's got me fired up. I'm so tired of hearing about the SEC and how great and ungodly they are. Yeah, it's a great conference. There's great teams. They play. Win your games, and you won't be behind the Big Ten teams who have only lost one or no games. Indiana is in the five, is ranked fifth because they've lost no games.
Yeah.
And like you just said, if they were Georgia or Michigan, they'd be the number one team in the nation right now, or one or two, right behind Oregon. If their name was anything other than Indiana, a big name school, they would be one or two. There's and you can't argue with me about that. Nobody can argue with me. I mean, you're not going to, but these SEC truthers and they can't argue that. I mean, they can try to, but they're full of shit if they think that they wouldn't be.
And people are like, "Oh, Indiana barely beat Michigan." Okay, so they can't have one. They can't have one game where they don't play amazing. Like, I mean, really? Like, Georgia barely beat Florida. I mean,
Georgia barely beat Kentucky.
Georgia should have lost to Kentucky.
And they've had those problems the past couple years where they've won these close games, and they don't. There's no guff about them winning these close games. Oh, but it's the SEC. What Kirby Smart said something about like, I'd challenge any of these schools to play an SEC schedule. Blah blah blah. Win the game. I don't care. You're playing against Kentucky. They're a basketball school. I don't care what you say. Shut your mouth. Freaking crybabies, man. It's unbelievable.
Fired up about the SEC. That's hilarious. I mean, SEC is the best conference in football. Got to say that.
It is.
There is, I don't know. But you also, I mean, you can't put in a Miami. If Miami loses, they should, I hope they're out. Like, they better be out. I don't care what anybody says, oh, you can't take us out because we lost the conference championship. We still made the conference championship. The ACC sucks. They don't have any reason to be in the playoff. I would rather see Tennessee, Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama, if they don't win their conference, than freaking Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to see any of them. I mean, I actually hate the ACC. I despise the ACC. It is probably my least favorite conference because at least the Big 12 is exciting.
It's SEC, Big Ten, and then there's a huge gap.
Yeah. I mean, the ACC is Miami. Miami still shouldn't be ranked as high as, what are they, 8?
Yeah.
It's pitiful. They're terrible.
Yeah, they shouldn't be ahead of Bama, Ole Miss, Georgia, maybe even Tennessee. I mean, they're just not a good team.
No, and Tennessee would wipe the floor with Miami. Hell, South Carolina would beat Miami.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, let me finish. I'll finish my playoff. We haven't even gotten here because I got all fired up. But I had Indiana at 8, and then that's where I got fired up. Bama at 9, Ole Miss 10, Georgia at 11, Boise State 12. Now go to your 12 before I keep playing.
I think Ohio State wins the Big Ten. I think Ohio State won. And then 2, I think Georgia wins the SEC. I think Georgia, Texas, SEC championship, and I think Georgia beats them again. I think it's close this time. I do think it's close this time because last game wasn't as close. But yours healthy. I just think Georgia, they're so used to being the SEC championship, they're going to go and they're going to win. 3, I have SMU. 4, I think Colorado will be like 11, and then Boise will be like 12. So because if they win out, so I think Colorado takes the 4. 5 Oregon, 6 Texas, 7 Penn State, because I think they'll give them that. I think they'll just let them stay there because Penn State has a cupcake schedule the rest of the way. 8. I wrote it down, but I don't like it. But 8 Alabama, 9 Indiana, 10 Ole Miss, 11 Tennessee, 12 Boise.
Okay, I can't necessarily disagree with that.
I
can see
know.
that.
I mean, really, it should just be the Big Ten. The Big Ten SEC should just send their top 4 teams, and they should have playoff.
Yeah.
For being honest, that's what it should be. The Big Ten sends their best 4, the SEC sends their best 4, and they play each other in a
just freaking brawl.
Yeah. Have like 2 go to the 2 go south, 2 go north, and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, Ohio State will go down south. We'll
no. Okay, like if it's like top 2 seeds in the Big Ten, so Oregon, Ohio State.
No, I don't care. We're going to the south. Infiltrate. I don't give a shit where we go.
Run through the heart of the South again. Zeke Elliott, 80 yards.
Yeah, straight through the heart of the South.
I was at your house for that game. It's a long time ago. I think I fell asleep at halftime. Or I left.
I was almost 10. That was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, so I was like 9.
That's crazy. All right. Let's talk about Heisman frontrunner. A lot of guff going on about. I think it has finally come down to the 2 that it should be.
Genty
and Hunter. And I think that's if the voters really vote for those 2, I'd be fine if it went to either one.
I would be a little bit, but I have a case for Genty more than Hunter. Look, Hunter is doing amazing things. I mean, we haven't seen this in a long, long time. Well, before we were born with Charles Woodson, probably the last time, right? I know there's been some guys doing it that I don't really remember. They haven't talked about as much, but either way, Charles Woodson's the last guy. And Hunter's what, top 5 probably at each. He's not number 1 at each, but he's probably top 5, top 3 at each. But if you look at Ashton Genty's stats compared to the last like 4 or 5 running backs that have won the Heisman, he clears them by like 400 yards through 10 games. He clears them by like 400 plus yards, 8 plus touchdowns. Like his stats are unbelievable. And I know he's played not great teams, but he also did it against Oregon. So, I mean, I don't think the dude doesn't even get in a stance. He just stands there like he's having a cup of coffee and then just gets the ball and just phew, he flies. And then he runs over 7 people, breaks 8 tackles, and scores a touchdown. So I wouldn't be mad either way, but if I had to give my vote right now, I'm giving it to Ashton Genty. Also because Travis Hunter's kind of annoying with the whole Heisman campaign. It's not an election, dude. Relax.
I think Coach Prime's definitely pushing him to do that, kind of that and his teammates for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean Coach Prime, he's got to be out there.
But there's nobody else in college football that's playing 170 snaps a game, and even Woodson didn't do it.
What he does, you're right. What he does is insane.
And he is. I just don't know that there is nobody else in the nation plays both sides of the field, and let alone is, like you said, top 5 in each spot.
You're right.
It's just, and some of the plays he makes, like the play he made against Utah, I think, or might have been against Utah, that catch was just insane. And the Heisman's supposed to go to the best player in college football.
And
I just have a hard time saying that he's not the best player in college football.
He is the best overall athlete in college football and probably player. But it's so hard. I mean, for Ashton Genty to do what he does and not get a Heisman, then it's to say the same thing for Hunter. For him to do what he does and not get a Heisman. Like, I just don't know. I mean, if I was casting a vote right now, I give it to Ashton Genty. If Boise State loses another game, if Boise State misses the playoff, I'm giving it to Hunter. Especially if Colorado makes it. But I kind of hope they just, because they're kind of like talking shit about each other for some reason. I kind of hope like Colorado and Boise play in the college football playoff, and which I don't think will happen. But and then they just like go see Travis Hunter tackle Ashton. I don't think Travis Hunter will tackle Ashton Genty, but
that'd be interesting. That would be an interesting matchup for sure. I just if I was casting a vote today, mine would be for Hunter. I just don't. And like you said, and I love running backs. I love running the ball. My thing is just the competition that, and it's bad to say, but the competition that Genty's playing compared to the competition that Hunter's playing is.
Yeah, but Hunter's playing the Big 12. They suck.
But those guys are still.
I know they're
better
powerful.
than San Jose State. I mean, come on, are we serious? Like,
I know.
It's, and I love Genty. I love the way he does the Nick Chubb. He just stands there in the backfield like the Grim Reaper, just waiting for the ball, and then he just takes off. But I don't know. It's like I said, if one of those two has to win, and whoever wins, I will not be mad at whoever wins.
No. I think they should just play like rock paper scissors, like on stage. They call them both up and just do like this. Whoever wins gets the Heisman. Or they do an Oklahoma drill or an Oklahoma drill. I would not hate that. They just get an Oklahoma drill on stage. Whoever wins it gets the Heisman.
That would be interesting for sure.
Get the little dummies out, get the pads out, and set them on the side so they don't go out of bounds. And then just start an Oklahoma drill.
All right, let's move into some of the games. We'll talk about Ohio State next. We'll talk about our military academy versus Notre Dame first at Yankee Stadium. We'll make this quick, but
Notre Dame's gonna win by 20.
That's what I said. Notre Dame will dominate.
I think it'll be close in the first half. I think it'll be like 21-17 in the first half, Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame will kind of make their adjustments at halftime because Army is good. They are a good football team. Their quarterback is good, but when you only run the fucking football, you're not going to win a lot. You're not going to beat the best of the best. Let's be honest. Maybe in 1927 when they won the national championship, but it's 100 years ago. So Army, it's fun, it's exciting. I can't wait for Army Navy, but Notre Dame's just better.
Notre Dame's going to dominate, I think, from the first snap. Army's been a great story all year, but they're going to get killed just like Navy did. It'll be sad to watch, just like the Navy game was, because it was so hyped up. And this one hasn't been as hyped up, obviously, just because people are expecting about the same thing, which I think they should be.
Yeah.
And I think about the same thing is going to happen. So we'll see on Saturday at Yankee Stadium. What are we doing playing at freaking? What are we doing playing at baseball stadiums?
Wrigley was. I mean, that one end zone literally was like in the stadium, like was in the bleachers almost. Like, I think Yankee Stadium is better. I think it's better built. Not say better built for football, but like there's more room, so I don't think it's as bad. But Wrigley was weird. You couldn't even see the one touchdown because
that's what I was about to say. With touchdown score, and all we saw was the back of a bunch of dudes' heads.
So. Hey, they stood up, so you knew it was caught.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move to our preview of OSU Indiana. Deep dive into this, obviously. So big news yesterday: Seth McLaughlin, Achilles tear, and then Ryan Day, not too long ago, confirmed that it was Achilles tear. He was at practice with the boot on, but he had the little cart thing where he had his leg up there. Obviously, a huge loss. Seth McLaughlin's been probably the best center in the country, if we're being honest, and he was probably on his way to win the award. And then they also, Ryan Day said that, let's see, Carson Hinsman's moving back to center, and this says Sarival's going to play right guard. I don't think that doesn't make any sense. Because if he was playing right guard, then Shabola wouldn't have to move to left guard. But I assume Sarival's going to play left guard where Hinsman was, and then Hinsman moving back to center. If that's what they think's best, they're at practices. I'd rather put a different guy in at center.
Well, the backup that's played in the last two blowouts has done well, especially with, I mean, I know it's garbage time, but he's done really well, like for the run game. Like I saw like highlights on Twitter today. Like he's been kind of mowing dudes down in the run game. I don't know how his pass blocking is, but
Well, that's where I was going to get at. You're playing center, you got a lot of help on pass block.
yeah,
And part of your job is kind of helping other people. So there's not as much of a burden put on you during pass blocking. If he can run block, then like I said, I'm not at practices. I'm not the guy who makes the decisions, but
we'll see
obviously
on
we'll see. We'll see on Saturday.
Ohio State wants to win the game Saturday. They're gonna have to run the football.
Yeah, that's one of my keys. Keys for Ohio State is dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides.
Yes.
Obviously the defense has struggled in the big game against Oregon to dominate the line of scrimmage and get pressure on the quarterback.
And it did kind of did against Penn State.
Kind of. But they had to blitz, and that's what my dad, when he came on, he talked about. If you can't get pressure with 4, you're putting your secondary in jeopardy.
And I don't really know how good Indiana's O-line truly is, and they haven't faced a true defensive line this year. So it'll be interesting. Granted, I still think Ohio State's overrated. But, I mean, you get pressure on Rourke. You stop the pass game, which is their big thing. They love to pass the ball.
Yep.
They're good at it. They're really good at it. Rourke having an incredible season. But you get pressure on them. You force some error throws. You get turnovers. You win the football game. You win handedly.
Yep. That's what I said.
Doesn't get a lot of turnovers. Like they really don't.
A secondary has to play sound, fundamental defense for Ohio State, and I think a big thing is going to be not leaving Denzel Burke on an island.
Yeah.
That's where he's the most prone to trouble, I would say, is when he's left on an island and he's been getting beat on these jump ball throws. And there's been a couple after the Oregon game that the guy was out of bounds. And it was like, well, he caught the ball. I mean, against a better level of competition, that's probably a catch.
Indiana's got good receivers. They have really good receivers. And if we go to Indiana's side, Indiana's going to have to exploit man coverage. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to, I don't want to say dominate the line of scrimmage. They're going to have to win key battles in the line of scrimmage. And they're going to have to play sound, disciplined football and not have penalties. They can't have a holding on 1st and 10 on an 8-yard run and go back to 1st and 20 because they're screwed. Same thing for Ohio State. Ohio State can't give up. Ohio State can't have defensive penalties and let Indiana get drives going just because of their penalties. Mm-hmm. And force turnovers for Indiana. That's the key.
Indiana's got to take advantage of the offensive line shuffle for Ohio State. Make Saravold work. Make that left side of the offensive line work. Jackson's obviously a great guard, but he's been tested at times.
But it's Chop Robinson, so it's like when he struggled the most in the pass game, one-on-one with Chop Robinson. Or not Chop Robinson, he got drafted last year. You know what I meant. What's his name?
Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter, yeah. I don't know if Indiana's got a pass rusher like Abdul Carter. I don't think so. But it's going to be, 35 degrees, potential rain. You're going to have to run the football. It's not going to be a day to sit there and drop back and throw it 40 times. And that's why I think Ohio State, obviously their favorite anyways, but I think Ohio State's advantage is they have two of the best running backs in the country.
Yeah.
Run the football. Pound the football. Chip Kelly wants to run the football. You do it well on Saturday. You get Howard's legs involved. I think you win by 2 touchdowns. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Indiana really is. I mean, I still think they're a good team. I do. But maybe they really are that good. And I love Kurt Signetti. I really do. I think he's awesome. And I hope he builds something in Indiana because he said he's 8-year deal.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see, obviously. I think I'd love to see Henderson get more carries. He's been super explosive, but Judkins has carried more of the load, a lot more of the load if you look at the carry. Yeah. But Henderson's getting more yards a carry. I mean, obviously Judkins is getting a lot of yards per carry, but Henderson, it's like every time he touches the ball, it's like, oh shit, this could go all the way. And it's
But
just
Henderson's been explosive since we've had him. That's why I don't understand. Like Judkins was really good last year for Ole Miss. He's been really good for us. But to me, Henderson's RB1. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if Henderson had as many carries as Judkins, his yards per carry would go down. It can't be that much though. I mean, maybe they're saving him. Maybe they're like, oh, we get to Michigan, we get the Big Ten championship. Henderson, you'll start getting more carries or start being more balanced. I don't know. Maybe Henderson's just a second half guy. I don't know.
I just think Henderson needs to get more carries. It's like every time he touches the ball, he just finds the hole super well and he hits the hole super fast. I mean, he just takes off, and it's like I love Judkins. He's been great, but he's more like that tough, like, oh, we need 4 or 5 yards, or we need 3 yard carry here. We're gonna give it to him. Camden McDaniel type. Like, we need 3 yards. We're gonna give it to Camden McDaniel. Um, so, a win for Ohio State, obviously, that pretty much guarantees spot in the Big Ten championship and guarantees spot in the playoff if you win this game. I mean, that's just assuming they're going to win the game, but
yeah,
obviously, Michigan that team up north is. I don't think they stand much of a chance against Ohio State this year.
But you never know what could happen. You never know.
You could happen. I'm not saying they can't win, but it looks a lot like Ohio State is going to win that game. If Ohio State loses to make it to the playoff, it's got to be close. Got to be a close game. Obviously, they're the number 2 team in the nation, so obviously the committee thinks they're a really good team. So if you're going to lose this game, it's got to be super close, like as close as the Oregon game.
Yeah. And if Indiana wins this game, they should go up to 2.
Oh, I said if Indiana wins the game, it would be their biggest win in program history.
Oh yeah, they clinch a Big Ten championship, clinch a playoff spot, clinch a Big Ten berth, clinch a playoff spot, basically. 11-0. I mean,
and I think a close loss still proves that they belong where they're at, and they deserve to be where they're at. If they lose a close game, 1-score game, they deserve to be where they're at.
I don't want to get into hypothetical because I just don't know. But if they lose by 21, let's say they compete in the first half, and Ohio State blows out in the second half. Like, do you still drop them behind Miami?
They probably will.
Miami's offense is really explosive.
So is Indiana's. I don't know. It's just, I think if they lose a close 7-10 point game, but the 10 points comes like really late in the game, I think they prove themselves and really solidify a spot.
I think they lose by 10 anyways. Let's say they score a touchdown like 2 minutes to go, make it 20 or like 31-21. Who cares? They lost by 10. Put them in. Add in Columbus in crappy weather.
Mm-hmm.
Let Bloomington host a playoff game. Let's see Alabama come to Bloomington, Indiana in December.
Now, this whole idea of Indiana going to take over at Ohio State, maybe at game day, because Ohio State fans don't really care about game day. I mean, they do, but not as much as other schools, just because it's been there so many times.
Yeah.
Indiana fans could take over that, but you're not taking over the shoe. I mean, come on. Like, are we serious? Like, there's been buzz about that on Twitter. Like, come on.
Maybe Indiana brings some people because they're not that far away, but they're not going to take over the shoe.
No.
So 10,000, 105,000 people. I promise you, it's not going to be more than probably 20,000 Indiana fans. That's generous.
That's a stretch.
That's generous.
All right, let's get to picks for college football. Some of these games are just.
These games suck. The games suck this week, besides Ohio State, Indiana, and maybe Army Notre Dame.
These games are just terrible. UNLV's ranked. I saw that and I was like, I don't even want to pick that game.
UNLV.
I was like, I don't even want to pick that game.
I think we just pick Ohio State, Indiana, and their name Army and call it a day. I mean, there's no reason to pick the other games. It's all going to be the favorites.
Yep. All right, let's do it. So we'll pick Army Notre Dame first. I got Notre Dame.
Yep.
Probably 35-7.
Oh my gosh. I was going to go like 34-17.
I don't think so. I don't think Army scores more than one time if they do. Indiana at Ohio State.
Ohio State 31-21. That's what my guess was.
Okay. I got 31-24. So pretty close.
Yeah.
To the same thing. So, all right. Let's move on to the NFL. Big shout out to the Bills getting the freaking dub. Josh Allen. Man, I love that guy.
What a game. He played his butt off.
I went nuts when he ran that touchdown in. He was a man on the freaking mission, dude. There was nobody taking him down.
That was the play of the year.
Nobody was taking him down.
That was he let him hang a little bit, and he just said, "You know what? I'm Josh Allen. I'm taking over. It's 4th down. We're winning this football game right here. Screw it." And he did it. And that might be what takes the Bills to the Super Bowl this year. If Josh Allen can be, you know what? He's not turning the ball over near as much, and he can just put the game in his hands. Because, I mean, he's kind of he's kind of had to, but at the same time, he's had elite receivers around him. This year, he doesn't. Amari Cooper's good, not great. Keon Coleman's young. He's good tight ends, and Kincaid and Knox, but also James Cook has come on this year really well.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's helped the Bills too.
Yep.
James Cook has run really hard this year, and their defense is still playing solid, even though they lost all those guys. Bills are really, really good, and Josh Allen keeps playing the way he does. 1, he might win the MVP, and 2, Bills might finally get over that hump in the playoffs of the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs in the regular season almost every year, but can they get over the playoff hump? That's what matters.
That's the thing. They kind of, I don't want to say dominated that game, but they controlled that game.
Yeah, I mean, first pass of the game from Mahomes picked.
They controlled pretty much the entire game, and Romo talked about time of possession, I think, and they were doing to the Chiefs what the Chiefs had been doing to everyone else the entire season, and just controlling the time of possession. I mean, the Bills had the ball almost the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think if they can manage to do that against the Chiefs in the playoffs, assuming that they do meet in the playoffs again, it's going to be tough for the Chiefs to beat them.
But the Chiefs in the playoffs are a different team. They flip the switch. That doesn't even really need flip because they're already really good. But they get the playoffs, it's go time. They don't lose.
Time will tell.
So
talk about your Steelers.
Let's get into Steelers-Ravens. That was one, screw Justin Tucker. He's an idiot. The video of him mocking Russell Wilson a couple of years ago, that came back to bite him in the ass. So screw him. And he complained about the playing surface when the guy across from him made 6 field goals.
Yeah.
And Tucker made a 54-yarder. So I don't really know how that he's played at Heinz Field how many freaking times in his career, and now you're going to complain about the playing surface? And yes, it is stupid that Pitt plays there, and Pitt played there the day before. But you have practice kicks for a reason, buddy. You've missed all year. So I don't want to hear it from him. That definitely didn't help them win the game. And then the Steelers defense did to Lamar what they've done since he pretty much got to Baltimore. They make him throw the ball, and he can't. He's so inaccurate when he has to. I mean, there was one where he did make a really nice play and hit the ball. The ball hit Zay Flowers right in the face, and it was hilarious. But the Ravens' top offense just gets stymied by the Steelers' defense for whatever reason. I mean, obviously there's reason. They game plan really well. T.J. Watt does what T.J. Watt does. Cam Hayward had a really, really good game again for his old age. But I mean, there's always talks about Hayward not even getting brought back, and nobody wanted to sign the extension because he was getting older. And this year he's having an unbelievable year since we signed the extension. So that play Peyton Wilson made towards the end of the game,
yeah,
just a full hustle effort play. and we got him for Kenny Pickett, so that's awesome. Russ didn't have his best game. The offense drove the ball in the second half, but we're terrible in the red zone since Russ came. We're awful. We've been scoring, but I think Russ's QBR is around 8 in the red zone, which is worse than the NFL. And it's like, why don't we put Fields in more? Because finally we did. Finally we did put in Fields for the run package. Granted, I was ready to punch the TV when he slid on third down or second down and didn't get the first down. He signaled first down. I was like, no, you freaking idiot. You're 2 yards short. I was so mad. Because if he just dove, it's an easy first down. But he slid. And I was like, what are you doing? I was so mad. But then we got the first down, and that was it. But the Steelers, they did prove – I mean, I was still unsure on them. But they kind of proved that I think they're a legit contender. If their offense can just – their defense is Super Bowl championship or Super Bowl caliber. Their offense, I still don't think is yet. I think they're good. I think the offense is good. The run game's been really good this year and getting better. But we just got to keep seeing Russ improve and keep seeing the pass game improve and keep throwing it to George.
Oh, I think what this week did prove, for me at least, was I do watch the NFL, Dad, and my top 10 was correct and has been correct for a couple of weeks now. Just had to put that in there. But I think the Steelers' biggest problem is going to come in the red zone. You got to score touchdowns to win big games. Obviously, they didn't have to this week, but that's thanks to Justin Tucker missing 2 field goals, 3, 2. So eventually, you're going to have to score touchdowns in the red zone.
I mean, the Steelers honestly should have dominated that game. He missed 2 field goals. They had a pick and 2 fumble recoveries.
Yep.
How about Patrick Queen getting a fumble or forced fumble and fumble recovery against his old team?
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. I'm still worried. We can get into Steelers-Browns tomorrow or later, but yeah. Steelers played well enough to win Sunday. Shout out Chris Boswell for being our team MVP. Dude is awesome. He is right now the best kicker in football.
Let's talk about that. We'll talk about the Thursday night game first. The Eagles Commanders, right? That was Thursday night, right?
Yeah. Jaden Daniels, I don't know. I don't know if the Eagles are really good, let's be honest.
They're really good.
But Daniels did not play well again. But I hope maybe just a couple games slump. Yeah. I mean, it happens. He's a rookie, let's be honest. But that hurt. I mean, they're playing. I mean, I still think they'll make the playoffs, but losing that game hurt. Especially the way they did. They kind of got dominated the entire game. But they play Dallas this week, so maybe he can get it back.
Yeah.
But Eagles are really good. They can keep running the ball.
My biggest thing was it was like the Commanders didn't really look to get the ball to McLaurin at all during the game. And he's your leading receiver, and you pass the ball a lot, and you don't really look to get him the ball much at all during the game. I mean, I think what we talked about after the game, I was fired up because McLaurin's on my fantasy team, but I think they had receivers had 4 or 5 receptions in the whole game. The rest were the tight ends and running backs. I mean, you can't win football games like that.
And they do like passing to the running backs a lot. They love throwing to Eckler, which, I mean, Eckler was really good in L.A. with. But they have really good receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was a scheme thing, if it was Daniels is not reading right, or Eagles just shutting them down that way. I don't know. But Eagles are really, really good. I think they've kind of figured it out. Yeah. I still think Sirianni's a good coach. I know he's going to get hated on, but I like Sirianni.
I think he just gets hated on because of the way he acts. He's just a different cat.
He is he's a football coach.
He fits in well with Philly, I think.
He's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
He does not hide his emotions, which I don't care. I love that. Yeah. I mean, remember him crying on the national anthem to Super Bowl.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
Here's literally just going down his face, but he doesn't hide his emotions, and you either like him or you don't. And I like him, but what the locker room thinks of him. I think, 8-2, they're playing really, really good. Hurts is playing well. Barkley's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Defense is playing well. The Eagles are probably second best team in the NFC.
And the Lions, yeah.
And the Lions are obviously number one. They put a whoop on the Jaguars. Holy hell.
Let's talk about the Sunday night game real quick. Chargers Bengals, man. Oh my gosh. Another heartbreaker for the Bengals. I mean, I watched that whole game and it was like, oh man, they're just gonna get flat out just beat. And then I was like, oh man, they're coming back. They might win this game. Well, then they get into field goal position. I'm like, okay, they're gonna take the lead here. Miss. Then the defense stops them. I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. The defense stopped them. Field goal position again. And then another miss on the same looking kick. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And then they lose the game. And it's just like, Burrow is leading the league in like every passing stat.
Jamar Chase is leading every receiving stat.
And it's just like, but they can't win because their defense is that bad.
That bad, and they don't have a run game.
Yeah.
They don't control the ball. When they score a ton. They just score like in 4 plays because they just hit deep balls. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Yeah. They don't run the ball. They don't control the ball. And it doesn't always matter if your defense can stop anybody, but they can't.
Yeah.
Chargers up 24-6 with that, 27-6. And then the Bengals came back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the Bengals had to do was make a field goal. They probably win. But and our defense showed up for those 2 of those last 3 drives. They just didn't show up for the drive.
It's like if they make one of those field goals, though, it just kind of changes the momentum, you know. They make that field goal, they take the lead, and it's like the Chargers are like, oh shit.
The Chargers don't get the ball at the 40-yard line.
Yep.
Twice. Yeah. So I mean, the Bengals defense made those plays at the end, except for that last drive. That last drive that hit McConkey on that out and up, and pretty much sealed it.
Yeah.
I love Ladd McConkey. I do love Ladd McConkey.
I love both of those teams. I love Justin Herbert. Herbert's a dog. I don't care what anybody says. And Burrow's obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think if we were ranking quarterbacks, he'd be my number 1.
Harbaugh goes boys. If the Chargers would have had Harbaugh those last couple of years when they had the roster they did, I mean, they've lost guys because of their cap space stuff. But if they had like the Harbaugh last 2 years and they had the rosters they did, oh my God, imagine how good they would have been when they had the freaking. Oh my gosh, what's his name? He's an idiot, but whatever. He's terrible, and the Chargers sucked. They shouldn't have sucked. They're so talented.
Oh, their coach?
Yeah.
Staley, wasn't it?
Brandon Staley, yes, came from
Staley.
good old John Carroll, I think.
Oh yeah,
he's
good stuff. I just wanted to mention that the 49ers loss to the Seahawks was extremely disappointing.
NFC West is
crazy.
Fun division, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, Cardinals Rams this week, or no, Cardinals Seahawks this week. Cardinals Seahawks. And then you got Rams. Rams, Niners, and Seahawks all the same record, and the Cardinals are what, 1 game ahead?
Cardinals are 6-4. Yeah.
I mean, that division's completely up for grabs. They're all good. None of them are great, I don't think. The 49ers could be great, but they're just not.
Mm-hmm.
They just haven't been the same team. They haven't all been healthy, but now they are kind of all healthy. And they should have. Seahawks haven't been great. They've been okay. And the Seahawks went into San Francisco and won that football game. So it's like, are the 49ers? I thought they were back. Now they're not back. I don't know. I don't know. I thought if they were going to find it, they'd find it by now. I could be wrong. They still could. It's still the Niners. But they're just not a great football team right now.
No.
If Bosa doesn't get pressured, they don't play well on defense.
No. All right. Top 10. I got Lions at 1, obviously. Bills at 2, which I've been saying for weeks, and you looked at me like I was crazy. And then they beat the Chiefs. Chiefs at 3. Steelers at 4 with that huge win against the Ravens, who everybody's been hyping up. Eagles at 5. Ravens at 6. I got the Packers at 7. You know, they had that weird game against Chicago. It wasn't their best game, but I think they're one of the best teams in the league, I think.
If Love can stop throwing interceptions, they'll be really good.
Yeah. And then I think Washington's still a good team. I got them at 8. I got the Vikings at 9. Huh?
Over Minnesota?
Just don't know how good Minnesota really is.
They're like 8-2.
Yeah, but the game they played against the Titans this week was just, I don't know.
They almost beat the Lions. Should have beat the Lions.
I don't know. 10. It's between Chargers and Texans for me.
It's fair. Texans. I mean, I can't judge Texans, but the Cowboys suck so bad that I can't even.
That's why it's hard for me to judge the Texans because they lost to the Jets, but then they turn around and kill the Cowboys. So it's just, I think the Chargers are a really good team.
I do too.
I think the Texans are a good team when they play well.
So. At 1, I have the Lions, 2 Bills, 3 Chiefs, 4 Eagles, 5 Steelers, 6. I still have the Ravens. 7. 7, I have Minnesota. 8, I have LA Chargers. 9, Houston. 10, I kind of wanted. I kept putting him here just for fun. I put him in here. Give me the Broncos. Give me Sean Payton.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just flat dominated.
They did.
The Falcons. The Falcons are a good team. They were in my top 10 like 2 weeks ago. Falcons are good. They have been playing. They lost the Saints and the Broncos now, but the Broncos. Bo Nix is good. Mm-hmm. He is a guy. He will be a guy for a long time in this league, and he is impressive right now. He might win. If Daniels keeps going like this and Nix keeps going like this, Nix is going to jump him for Offensive Rookie of the Year, which 3-4 weeks ago sounded like if somebody asked you who Offensive Rookie of the Year and you said Bo Nix, they'd punch you in the face.
Yeah, probably so.
If I was a betting man, I wish I would have put money on Bo Nix like 4 weeks ago. It would have been put $1 to win like 300.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. MVP frontrunner. Who you got right now?
Oh, give me Josh Allen's my guy.
I got Josh Allen.
If Lamar would have played well against the Steelers, I'd said Lamar, but Josh Allen's my.
Yep, I got Josh, and then I said Lamar's probably sitting in second. His stats look really good.
Right now, for me, it's like Allen, Lamar, Goff. If Goff didn't throw 5 picks, he'd probably be ahead of Lamar right now too. But
yeah. I just think what Allen's doing with so little, it's like he doesn't have a big name weapon anymore, like Diggs, and he's just going out there and just putting the team on his back.
He is.
So. All right. Is there any games you want to talk about that are coming up this week?
I'll talk about Steelers Browns just because of Steelers. I'm worried it's going to be a trap game for the Steelers. I'm so worried.
I don't think so.
They've lost like their last 6 on away Thursday night football games. The last 2 they played at Cleveland on Thursday night, they've lost. One was the Myles Garrett helmet game. And the other one, they just lost. It was like 2 years ago. Mitch played. So Mason Rudolph game, Mitch Trubisky game. So I can't necessarily say that it was our best team out there. But still, it's in Cleveland. Either going to be 40 and rain. I've seen like one thing say like 40 and rain. I've seen another thing say chance of like 20-mile-an-hour winds, snow. So it's going to be an AFC North football game. Pittsburgh should win. Steelers should dominate that game. Mm-hmm. Browns love to play man coverage, which benefits the Steelers and their moon balls to George Pickens. I mean, it does. The Ravens didn't do it a lot. They kind of took it away for the most part. Steelers had one deep Pickens. But Browns, OSU Cormo's out for the Browns. Steelers should be able to run the ball. Steelers should win that game. And it's up if Tomlin can get them ready. Short week after Baltimore, guys will be hurting. But go into Cleveland, give them their 9th loss, have another losing season for Cleveland, which would be awesome. Steelers get their 9th win, clinch another winning season for Mike Tomlin. And it's not, but I'm just worried it's going to be a trap game. I am. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just so used. I've seen it before. Steelers do it before. Come off a big win, lose to a bad team the next week.
I think you're going to be wrong. I think you're going to be wrong.
I think I picked the Steelers to win, but I hope I'm wrong.
I think you're going to be wrong. I think the Steelers are going to go out and dominate. I don't. The Clowns are just so bad. It's just I don't see it being a trap game for the Steelers. I just don't.
We got another big game this week. Got Niners, Packers.
Mm-hmm. That's probably the only one that I really care to talk about. We can talk about Cards and Seahawks after this, but
Shanahan, LaFleur.
and the Niners need a win.
Yes.
Need a win.
In Green Bay, though, in the cold. Granted, they've won before. It doesn't. I mean, they're in the playoffs almost every year. They're not Niners have been the Packers' kryptonite in the playoffs, but it's in the playoffs, and the Niners are just not playing good right now. And the Packers, if Jordan Love, as I said, Jordan Love can keep the ball in his receivers' hands and not the other team's hands, Packers are going to win the game. I don't think the Niners can stop the Packers' run game. The Packers' run game, I was watching NFL Live today. They do some funky stuff that just gets them 8 yards a pop. I mean, they're sending guy this way, pulling guys from this side, and a tackle tight end coming across. I mean, then they'll have one, they'll do an orbit motion, the tight end comes this way, and they give it like it's a jab step left, go right. I mean, it's funky, but it's so creative. And I mean, it's Matt LaFleur. It's what he does. That's the thing. He came from Shanahan. What do you think Shanahan is? Creative. But Niners defense isn't as good as it has been. And if the Packers can exploit that, I think the Packers win. If the Niners play like the Niners should, I think the Niners win. But overall, in Lambeau, I take the Packers.
I just think Shanahan and the Niners need to win bad. And I think with CMC being back, now he's only been back 2 weeks. I don't think he scored a touchdown yet. I like both the coaches. I think they do a lot of good stuff, and that's tough. Tough. I want the Niners to win. I want the Niners to succeed because I like Brock Purdy. I love CMC. You know, you got two guys out there representing for the white folk, and CMC is one of the best running backs.
Yeah, it's on a video, you moron.
In the league, and
you're gonna get us canceled. We're 4 episodes in. Nobody watches. You're still gonna get us canceled.
Nobody watches.
We're gonna get canceled because of you.
But you can't say I'm wrong. CMC represents for white people.
We need to have. Remember last year the white versus black bowl?
No.
Remember that? Like
you're gonna get us canceled. You're gonna get us canceled.
No, you don't remember who? What NFL player brought it up? And then it was like this debate for like weeks of like all white team versus all black team. You don't remember that?
Tyreek Hill, I think maybe.
Yeah, somebody did it, and then it became like a debate. Like talk shows were debating, and it was hilarious.
That's what they should have got canceled. I'm just saying, there's not a lot of white running backs. Actually, I believe CMC is the only one.
Somebody else has one.
The only starting white running back. The only
Chiefs have one.
He sucks. He doesn't play.
He's a little bit. Now they have Kareem Hunt doesn't play as much, but he was playing a little bit.
I'm saying CMC represents the white community because we're not very athletic, and he is a freak of nature.
I was giving you a hard time, but
all right, let's talk about
Ravens Chargers too.
Yeah, Ravens Chargers. We'll talk about the Cardinals and the Seahawks. I don't really know either one of those. I mean, I do know the Cardinals. I watched the Cardinals a decent amount just because of James Conner. I think when they run the ball well, they look really good. And in the games that they haven't really necessarily run the ball well, they've struggled. And when they don't get it to Marv, they struggle. When Kyler Murray doesn't look to throw to Marv, they struggle.
Yeah. The Seahawks have been a little up and down this year. That win Sunday was huge. I think they keep them rolling in Seattle. I'm still not completely sold on the Cardinals yet. I think they're good. I do. I mean, they beat the Chargers. I do think the Cardinals are good. But I think the Seahawks keep that momentum going. They play in like a 27-24 type game. I think Geno plays well. I think they have DK back, and DK played well last week. I think they get DK more involved this week, and I don't think the Cardinal defense is amazing. So I like the Seahawks.
Not so fast.
Not so fast, my friend.
I got the Cardinals, I think. I don't know.
Who are you taking Packers, Niners? Niners?
I think that's going to be a really good game. But
I hope so.
I'm taking. I don't want to be wrong, but I'm taking the Niners, I think.
Okay, Ravens Chargers. This is exciting.
Chargers.
Harbaugh Bowl.
Should be a good game. Really good game.
Jim's never beat John. The 2 games they played, Jim's never beat John.
Really?
Yeah, obviously the Super Bowl, and then there's a time in like 2011 they played like a Thursday night or something. But it's in LA, but that doesn't mean anything because the Chargers get outfanned every game at home. But the Ravens, I think if they can get their offense back to what they can be, I think they have a better chance of winning because the Chargers are going to want to run the ball. But the Ravens' run defense is obviously the best in football.
Yeah.
Pass defense is the worst in football. So obviously Herbert, I think Herbert can expose that with McConkey and Quentin Johnston. But I think overall the Ravens are a better team, and the Ravens will win Monday night. I think they play like they should. I think Lamar plays really well, and I think they beat the Chargers.
I think they'll beat the Chargers too. I'd love to see the Chargers win, but
obviously as an AFC North fan, but I'd love to see the Chargers upset the Ravens. But I don't think Baltimore loses 2 in a row again this year.
I think Greg Roman loves to run the ball, and that could hurt the Chargers.
Yeah.
I think it could hurt.
Hard to stop Lamar and Derek. Let's be honest. It's very, very hard.
Yeah. All right. Let's pick the rest of the games. Obviously, Steelers, Browns, we're both taking the Steelers. Bucks at the Giants.
Bucks. You think Tommy really beating the Bucks? No.
I got the Bucks. Chiefs at the Panthers.
Chiefs.
Chiefs. Cowboys at the Commanders.
Commanders
get back on track. Pats at the Dolphins.
Dolphins are hot. Tua's good again.
Fins. Titans at the Texans.
Texans win by 30.
I don't know about 30, but they'll win big.
I don't know about 30, but they're going to, I think, dominate.
Lions, Colts. Lions could win by 30.
Yeah. Colts beat the Jets. The Jets are terrible, and they're in complete disarray right now. But, yeah, Lions dominate in the Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse, yeah. Vikings at the Bears.
Vikings.
I can't pick the Bears to win. They're just so, I don't know. It's a mess. Broncos at the Raiders.
Broncos.
Eagles at the Rams.
This one's intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking Matt Stafford in this one. I'm picking the upset. As hard as I think the Eagles are, shut up. I think the Rams get it done. And I think Stafford plays out of his mind and just feeds Kupp and Nakua. And I think they upset the Eagles.
Not so fast. I got the Eagles.
I should take the Eagles, be safe, but you know what? I don't play safe. Safe's not fun.
Well, we will find out on that's the Sunday night game, I think.
It is.
We'll find out on Sunday night. Eagles at the Rams. I got the Eagles. Well, that was pretty quick there. Pretty quick. One of our quickest episodes.
Not a lot of big games last week. Not a lot of big games this week.
So hopefully some people maybe watch till the end. I know there might be a few people out there. I think Ben's been watching pretty good just based off his recaps. I think he's been watching pretty much the whole thing. So shout out to Ben Mailer.
And he's letting us stay in his house this weekend.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Going to the game on Saturday. So
game day. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching podcast if you're still watching, and we will see you next time.
See ya.